Where are you from? It's a pretty common question, one you might get when you move to a new area, start a new job, or start studying in a different city. It's one I got a lot when I first came to university. And it's a question that confused me a little because I wasn't quite sure what the person asking it wanted to know. I could say I'm from Essex, but I'd only lived there for a year and a half before moving to university, and it didn't feel like home. I grew up in London, and that's where I spent most of my life. But I was born in Zimbabwe, and I lived there until the age of 5, so technically that's where I'm originally from. But I just thought that, to an extent, I was overthinking this question, and I could just say that I moved here from Essex, but I grew up in London, and I was born in Zimbabwe. But I do like the question, because it opens up a conversation about where people are from, and what experiences they have, what kind of culture they were brought up in. But where you're from has a completely different meaning when you're not moving from one city to another, but from one country to another. And that's a lesson that I learned fairly early on in my life. At the age of 11, my mum organised a trip for us to go to Paris over the weekend. We went and saw the Eiffel Tower, had some delicious food, and went to Disneyland and saw the Cinderella Castle. But when the clock struck midnight on our trip, we hopped on the Eurostar, and eventually we arrived at the border crossing, and we had to get our passports checked. The officer that day had quite a few questions for us. What are you coming here to do? Where do you work? Where do you live? Where does she go to school? And these questions seemed very strange to us at the time because we had permanent residency in the UK, and my mum had been living here for almost a decade, and we were just trying to get home. So when we eventually got back to London, my mum decided that this wasn't an experience that she cared to repeat, and she applied for us to naturalise, and we became British citizens shortly after. I can tell the difference, having been a Zimbabwean and now having British citizenship, what a difference it makes when you're travelling. For instance, when I go on holiday in Europe, sometimes I just put my passport to get scanned, I have my face scanned, they're sure it's me, and I go straight through. And the only thing that kind of slows things up is people not being quite sure which way around to hold their passports. But I also experience it when I travel further afield, like a couple of years ago, when me and my cousin went on a trip to visit our family in South Africa. And when I went up to the passport desk, I had a pleasant conversation about what I wanted to do over my holiday, and that I lived in England now, but I was born in Zimbabwe. And I was sent through quite quickly, but she was asked quite a lot of questions, in a similar fashion to the questions we were asked when we were coming back from France. How long are you staying? What are you intending to do? When are you going back? And that seemed wrong to me, because we'd grown up together, we'd come to the UK together, we'd gone to school together, and the only substantive difference between us is that I was British and she was Zimbabwean. I don't think that this is right, but it reflects the national conversation around migration that is held in many countries around the world. When we talk to migrants that we know, we ask them where they're from because we're interested to know and we value their experiences. But when we talk about migration as a whole, on a national scale, the conversation changes. And it's not about what they have to offer, the amazing experiences that they've had, the skills that they bring. It's about what they might take away from what we have. And this is an issue because the problems we're going to face in the future are not going to be British problems or even European problems. They are global problems, and they require global solutions. And I think we underestimate the importance of diversity, what bringing people with different ideas from different backgrounds with different ways of thinking can do. And when that happens, people come up with innovative solutions. They think outside of the box. As a person with British citizenship applying for jobs abroad, I know that I'm in a privileged position. But the truth of the matter is that whether I'm traveling with a red passport or a green one, I'm still the same person, and I do have value. Thank you.